What began with early experiments in Imperial Russia evolved into a powerful Soviet legacy and continues today in modern Russia. This is a journey through over a century of Russian and Soviet tank development from the First World War designs to today's machines. We start our list with Imperial Russia World War I. VZ introduced the early ambition to conquer terrain unreached by other vehicles. Designed with a single wide rubber track and tiny steering wheels, this early Russian machine aimed to blend tread technology with all-terrain flexibility. Though its futuristic concept showed promise, it was doomed to remain a prototype, never advancing beyond experimental phases. Tsar tank resembled a monstrous steel tricycle more than any wartime combat vehicle. Towering front wheels over 9 meters high were engineered to steamroll obstacles, but a comically underpowered rear wheel left it hopelessly stuck in the mud during its first trial. A marvel in scale, yet fatally flawed in design. Mendeleev tank pushed the boundaries of military imagination. With thick armor and a massive naval-caliber cannon, this landship was built for dominance. So large and heavy it required railway wheels for transportation. Its sheer logistical demands halted production before it ever faced battle. Interwar period. Ruski Reno served as Soviet Russia's first tank production run. Modeled directly on the French Renault FT, this tank embodied the foundational leap, as the new regime showcased its ability to replicate and manufacture sophisticated war machines independently. T-18 MS-1 marked the Red Army's first mass-produced tank. Compact but nimble, it set the stage for future Soviet armored doctrines. As the backbone of tank training efforts, it was vital in shaping the competence of an entire generation of armored crews. T-12 and T-24 marked the Soviet entry into medium tank development. The T-12, plagued by mechanical issues, gave way to the T-24, which introduced separate turrets for its main gun and machine gun. Despite the enhancements, limited production held both models back from prominence. T-27 was a tracked reconnaissance vehicle derived from Britain's Carden-Loyd tankette. It lacked a rotating turret and was criticized for its cramped interior, but its simplicity allowed for wide-scale adoption across infantry support roles. T-26 emerged as the Soviet workhorse throughout the 1930s. Modeled after the British Vickers 6-ton, this light tank proved its versatility across multiple conflicts, earning its legacy on battlefields from Spain to the Far East prior to World War II. BT-2 raised the bar for speed with groundbreaking Christie suspension. Capable of operating on wheels or tracks, it darted across battlefields at unmatched speeds, carving a place for the fast tank series in Russian doctrine. BT-5 advanced the fast tank concept with a larger turret and a 45 gun, giving it both power and agility. At the time, few light tanks across the world could match its blend of firepower and velocity. T-37A, the world's first mass-produced amphibious tank, boasted a propeller and rudder for water navigation. In swamp-heavy Eastern Europe, it gave Soviet reconnaissance units a crucial edge in mobility. T-28 presented a bold, multi-turreted layout for medium tanks. Armed to engage threats on multiple fronts, its complex structure overwhelmed commanders in high-pressure situations, revealing a fundamental coordination problem. T stood as a 5-turret colossus meant to awe both allies and enemies. Used more for political theater than combat effectiveness, its sluggish pace and maintenance issues made it quickly obsolete in a world racing toward mechanized mobility. T-29 was a hybrid experiment combining a medium tank's firepower with Christie suspension speed. Though conceptually promising, it proved too intricate for mass-scale production, relegating it to a design dead end. BT-7 refined everything its predecessors invented. With sloped armor and higher engine output, it became a favorite among crews, holding firm against the German advance during the Great Patriotic War's earliest stages. T-46 aimed to phase out the T-26 but fell short due to complexity and cost. It paired fast suspension with familiar light tank design, yet production restraints and practicality rendered it unsuitable for broad deployment. T-38 added width and water stability compared to early amphibious models. Its armor may have been razor-thin, but its stealthy reconnaissance abilities were unmatched in terrain where rivers and marshlands were constant obstacles. SMK was a heavy dual-turret tank whose test, run during the Winter War, proved inefficient. Its high-profile design led engineers toward single-turret layouts for practicality and survivability on modern battlefields. T-100, a sister project to SMK, followed the same twin-turret idea. Overarmed, overtall, and prone to mechanical difficulty, it became another cautionary tale in overcomplicating wartime effectiveness. Enjoying this deep dive into armored warfare, which of these tanks do you think had the most impact or looked the coolest? Drop your pick in the comments below. And if you're loving the journey so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more epic content just like this. World War II. T-40 represented the final floating tank before the German invasion. Better sealed and armored than earlier models, it nonetheless saw its water-based features discarded as war broke out, converting it into a land-bound light tank. KV-1 earned its fame as one of the few tanks impervious to German anti-tank guns early in the war. Sturdy, heavily armored, and defiant, it became a flagship of Soviet resilience. T-30 stripped the amphibious features from the T-40 to meet the urgent demands of war. The simplified design accelerated production, ensuring that armored support reached the front quickly during the defense of Moscow. T-34, a revolution on tracks, combined wide treads, sloped armor, and a powerful main gun. Its design made it deadly, mobile, survivable, and set a new global standard for what a main battle tank should be. KV-2, with its towering turret and enormous howitzer, was built to eliminate bunkers and fortifications. Though slow and mechanically fragile, its firepower terrified enemies unprepared for such overwhelming shock units. T-150 extended the KV-1's armor and engine capabilities to greater extremes. While intended as a testbed, the lone prototype saw battle, fighting valiantly during the siege of Leningrad. KV-220 brought an 85mm gun and elongated hull to develop a super-heavy offensive tank. While technically impressive, its massive scale eventually pushed Soviet engineers toward more flexible alternatives. T-50, a standout among light tanks, featured excellent armor layout and a 3-man turret. Superior in design to anything else in its class, its cost and production complexity made widespread deployment unfeasible. T-60, born from necessity, used truck parts and a small frame to fill urgent gaps during 1941. Despite its lightweight appearance, these stopgap scouts played a key role in the grueling early months of war. KV-8 disguised its flamethrower behind a typical heavy tank silhouette. This deception lured infantry into close contact before unleashing terrifying bursts of fire, shattering morale and fortifications alike. T-34-57 modified the beloved medium tank into a surgical tank killer. Armed with a high-velocity 57mm gun, it hunted enemy armor with striking range and precision. Its specialization came at the cost of versatility. KV-13 aimed to merge the firepower of heavy tanks with the agility of mediums. Though it didn't enter full-scale production, it directly influenced the celebrated S-series that followed. T-70 improved on previous scouts with better armor and dependability. Its role in reconnaissance and flank support during massive operations in 1943 earned it widespread trust among Soviet armor divisions. T-43 sought to replace the T-34 entirely. With thicker armor and modest improvements, it was overshadowed when doctrine shifted toward upgrading the T-34 with a more powerful gun, ending T-43's future before it began. T-80 light tank refined wartime scout design one final time. By adding a two-man turret to lighten the crew load in combat, it offered better ergonomics, though its production run was cut short as war needs changed. IS-1 introduced the Iosif Stalin line with an 85 armament, closing the gap against Germany's latest armored threats. As a direct successor to the aging KV series, it laid a new foundation in heavy tank design. IS-2 became a battlefield juggernaut with a 122 gun designed to wreck enemy bunkers and Panthers alike. This culmination of Soviet armor was central in the final assaults leading to Berlin. IS-6 tested advanced concepts like electric transmissions and heavily sloped armor. Despite technical potential, reliability issues kept it from adoption, leaving it as an instructive prototype rather than a frontline machine. T-44 revolutionized medium tanks by rotating its engine sideways to lower its chassis. This compact innovation influenced nearly every tank design that followed, offering battlefield functionality with optimized dimensions. IS-3 shocked NATO when it debuted with its futuristic pike nose armor. With extreme angling and nearly unbeatable frontal protection, it symbolized both late-war dominance and post-war intimidation. Early Cold War. IS-4 weighed in as a heavily reinforced tank built for survival in high-intensity battle zones. Its immense armor made it a fortress on tracks, but the excessive weight restricted its movement. Many highways and bridges simply couldn't support it. Though nearly indestructible, its operational limitations relegated it quickly to reserve units. T-54 marked a pivotal shift in tank warfare with its balanced firepower, mobility, and protection. Armed with a potent 100 gun and a resilient rounded turret, this design launched production records. It soon became the face of Soviet armor and defined mid-20th century tank doctrine across the globe. IS-7 Object 260 claimed the title of the heaviest tank in the Soviet inventory. With a 130 naval gun and thick armor almost unmatched in its time, it was built to be unstoppable. In practice, it overwhelmed logistics. Bridges, roadways, and transports couldn't keep up. Despite its power, it was ultimately shelved. K-90 entered the stage as an amphibious reconnaissance platform meant for Cold War scouting operations. With better speed, refined handling, and capability in water crossings, it worked as a stepping stone to more advanced light amphibious vehicles soon to enter full production. PT-76 became the Soviet staple for amphibious operations for decades. Lightweight and specialized for river and coastal assaults, it gained global exposure through export. Its ability to traverse water combat zones with ease made it invaluable for fast deployments, especially where speed and surprise were critical. Object 416 pushed design boundaries with a turret that housed the entire crew. With an ultra-low silhouette, it was crafted for ambushes and urban warfare. The concept was risky, but offered incredible protection to visibility trade-offs. Though too radical for mass production at the time, it opened doors for modern designs. T-10 IS-8 served as the final evolution of the Soviet heavy tank lineage. Long, menacing, and heavily armed, it bridged the gap between World War II design and Cold War needs. As doctrines shifted toward faster, multi-role tanks, the T-10 closed the book on the era of lumbering heavy steel beasts. Object 140 competed in the race for a new Soviet mainstay. Equipped with cutting-edge features like improved mobility and technological enhancements, the design was promising but suffered from complexity. Instead, its simpler counterpart was chosen, illustrating Soviet preference for function over finesse. T improved on the T-54, by introducing full chemical, biological, and nuclear protection, a critical upgrade during the atomic age. Known for its ruggedness and ease of maintenance, it saw service across dozens of conflicts and became a symbol of Soviet engineering reliability. Object 430 formed the experimental foundation for a new tank generation. Its inverse priority was density. Every component aimed to reduce size and maximize power in a compact hull. Its research would eventually culminate in the pioneering T, marking a leap into modern armored warfare. Object 277 was conceived to lead breakthrough offensives in a nuclear conflict. With immense firepower and an enormously powerful engine, it was militarily effective on paper. But tank warfare was evolving. Missiles and mobility were replacing bulk and brute force. The future belonged to a new direction. Object 279 took unconventional design to an extreme. With 4 tracks spreading over a UFO-like hull, it could traverse swampland while resisting the shockwaves from nuclear blasts. Its stability and survivability were unmatched, but so unusual that it never transitioned into large-scale use. Object 770 focused on modernization from the inside out. It aimed to enhance crew comfort, introduce automatic functionality, and simplify operation. Despite these forward-thinking priorities, its timing aligned poorly with the decline of Soviet heavy tanks, halting it before mass deployment. Late Cold War. Object 906 tackled airborne warfare with water-capable agility and an 85 weapon. Outclassing earlier scout tanks in firepower and mobility, it served as an advanced testbed, directly paving the technological road toward amphibious airborne vehicles like the BMD family. T-62 broke new ground as the first mass-produced tank using a smoothbore cannon. Firing armor-piercing, high-velocity shells, it led the charge in tank versus tank combat during the peak of Cold War confrontations. Its legacy continued through service across several international conflicts. Object 167 tested bold upgrades to the T-62, including better suspension and a more powerful engine. Though it outperformed expectations, it was ultimately passed over in favor of more ambitious developments like the T-64. High performance alone no longer guaranteed adoption. Innovation reigned supreme. Object 432, T-64, redefined what a tank could be. It introduced composite armor, automatic loading, and a reduced crew size, all while increasing survivability. This masterstroke of engineering outclassed Western competitors upon release and shifted global tank expectations permanently. Object 287 was built without a cannon, armed instead only with guided missiles. On a modernized chassis, it was designed to strike enemies from afar with precision. Yet, lacking a main gun limited its flexibility, emphasizing that guided weapons weren't yet ready to fully replace traditional firepower. Object 434, T-64A, loaded the 125 mm smoothbore gun into the advanced T-64 frame. It became the hallmark of Soviet tank lethality, showcasing high penetration power at long range. Other designs would borrow heavily from the benchmarks it set during its era. IT-1 acted as a sniper tank of its time. Instead of shells, it fired guided missiles launched from a retractable platform. Its role was to destroy enemy tanks before they even saw it, but once its missiles were depleted, it was combat ineffective, making it more of a specialist than a core combat vehicle. Object 219 tested revolutionary propulsion with a gas turbine engine. The result was a vehicle that could start instantly in Arctic conditions and reach rare battlefield speeds. This groundbreaking research permanently changed tank design thinking and directly influenced the arrival of the T-80. T-72 took lessons from elite designs and simplified them into a reliable, cost-effective workhorse. Though less sophisticated than some contemporaries, it was easier to build, rugged under pressure, and widely exported. It became one of the most used and recognized tanks worldwide. Object 685 aimed to provide airborne troops with unexpectedly heavy firepower. With its advanced amphibious capacity and outstanding gun-to-weight ratio, it stretched the limit of what a light tank could accomplish. Although never mass-produced, its design echoes in specialized armored units today. Object 934 streamlined airborne fire support into a compact package, with high velocity and exceptional transport readiness. Its ability to drop in rapidly and still deliver punch made it a key element in perfecting the rapid deployment strategies of Soviet and post-Soviet forces. T-80 introduced turbine-powered armor into widespread service. With unmatched acceleration and mobility, it suited rapid breakthrough operations and was routinely positioned as the cutting-edge spearhead of Soviet armored divisions in Europe, reflecting both confidence and escalation in Cold War dynamics. Object 477, Boxer, moved toward an entirely new generation of tanks with unmanned turrets and next-gen weaponry. Everything about the project emphasized future warfare. Though development issues slowed it, its concepts foreshadowed the evolution of tanks long before the 21st century arrived. Object 490 was perhaps the most radical design in Soviet tank history. Its futuristic layout and offbeat compartmentalization prioritized crew survival as never before. With advanced armor geometry and internal systems, it looked more like an interstellar vehicle than a battlefield juggernaut. Object 187 tested how far the T-72 frame could be pushed. Updated with a modern hull, strong optics, and high-tier gun options, it exceeded nearly every benchmark. Though not adopted, its innovations deeply influenced future upgrade packages and armor strategies. Object 292 turned the T-80 into a colossal tank hunter by pairing it with a 150-toom cannon. This experimental upgrade aimed to explore whether standard hulls could manage such overwhelming firepower. Though handling required finesse, it hinted at the power scaling needed to meet future threats. Post-Soviet era and modern Russian armor. Object 299 wasn't just another tank. It aimed to be the backbone of a unified armored combat force. Envisioned as a shared heavy platform for main battle tanks, engineering units, and personnel carriers, it symbolized Russian intent to standardize and streamline future ground operations through adaptable design. T-90 emerged as the pragmatic successor to Cold War icons. Built from the proven T-72 hull and upgraded using the most advanced targeting and protection tech from the T-80, it created a new standard in Russian military hardware. Reliable, export-friendly, and battle-tested, it remains the centerpiece of several modern armies. Object 640, Black Eagle, took the classic tank silhouette and made it look futuristic. Featuring an elongated turret and an external autoloader compartment designed to protect the crew from stored ammunition, it was both aggressive in appearance and bold in concept. Though the project was ultimately canceled, its innovations left a mark. Object 195 T-95 brought unmatched firepower to redesigned armor doctrine. Armed with a colossal 150-toom gun and an unmanned turret, it placed the entire crew in an internal safety capsule, a revolutionary defense strategy. Though production never came to fruition, its forward-thinking design inspired the next generation. T-90A came with vital enhancements, an all-new welded turret, stronger engine, and top-tier thermal imaging systems. These upgrades gave it improved survivability and precision, particularly in night operations, transforming the tank into a much more precise battlefield tool without altering its core reliability. Two S-25 Sprut-SD combined light airborne deployment with heavy-hitting firepower. Variable by aircraft and parachute droppable, it wields the same gun as a main battle tank but on a much lighter chassis. Devised for elite airborne troops, it gives them an incredible punch where no other armor could normally reach. Armata represents a major turning point in tank philosophy, moving the crew into an armored capsule and placing all firing systems in a fully unmanned turret. It focuses on automation, survivability, and intelligence. Loaded with active defense systems, it may point the way tanks will be built for generations to come. T-90M is currently the most advanced version of the T-90 platform. With upgraded modular armor, modern communications, refined optics, and a revamped turret configuration, this customization makes it a highly survivable and lethal tool on contemporary battlefields, and a contender among the world's best operational tanks. S-25M SPRUT-SDM-1 brings modern upgrades to the legacy of the airborne tank destroyer. With advanced fire control systems and an improved drivetrain, it maintains the ability to deliver heavy tank-level firepower from lightweight, highly mobile positions, which few combat vehicles in the world can match. From the mechanical tricycles of WWII to the unmanned techno-beasts of the 21st century, Soviet and Russian tanks have never stopped evolving. Each one reflects a snapshot in history, technology, ideology, and necessity welded together in steel. What began as experiments in empire grew into global influence, changing not only how tanks look, but how wars are fought. Whether brutal, beautiful, or bizarre, each machine in this legacy tells a story of innovation pushed to its limits.